Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's recap of The Amazing Race.
Oh, hi. Last time the firefighters went home.
Oh, my ankle!
Oh,
It was serious though, it looked really bad.
That happened in Scotland. At the rest stop, they were all sleeping in tents on the beach. Adam and Bethany must have effing loved that.
We camp on the beach all the time. We
Oh my
love
God,
it.
it's so gnarly.
Yes, so to start off this leg, they had to take a 13-hour ferry ride
13-hour tour.
back to the mainland.
Then they had to fly to Copenhagen, Denmark.
What?
No.
All right.
There's no travel agent on that place. So everybody, well, first of all, everybody was on the same ferry because
Yes.
it didn't leave for a while. And the dentists were being kind of sneaky snakes. And
What's wrong with what they did? I don't think
Nothing.
there was anything wrong
Nothing.
with it.
They were the only ones who did it, though. They booked their flight online.
Mm-hmm. Everyone else
they
was
weren't
like,
on the first flight, though.
We gotta go to a travel agent. What?
I think it was smarter to go to the travel agent because the dentists were not on the first flight.
They were not.
There were 3 different flights that people booked: a 2 p.m., a 4 p.m., and a 5:10 p.m.
Which was delayed.
It was delayed by like 20-something minutes.
Yeah. You know who was on the first flight?
Kim
and Allie. So
What?
once they arrived, they had to drive to Sweden.
In a Ford C-Max plug-in. Oh, that car was so hot. It was the ultimate hotness in electric cars.
All right. Well, this episode was focused a lot on energy efficiency,
Greenness.
and green thinking.
Recycling.
So there was a little twist to this. On the way to Sweden, they had to drive efficiently.
Which means not speeding. They had to use less than 1/10 of a gallon of gas to drive 20 miles.
Right, not speeding, but at the same time, I think if you go too slow, that messes you up too. You gotta
all
go
right.
at a certain speed to get the most
Well, it had an
efficiency.
energy monitor right on the car, so it was
Right.
pretty much foolproof.
Well, they couldn't use more than
1/10.
1/10 of a gallon
Right.
for this trip. And if they did, they had to answer a trivia question.
Like a schoolgirl trivia
A
question.
geography student, okay?
All right. Well, the question was, you have to name the capitals of the Scandinavian countries.
All right.
Which shouldn't be too hard because they were just there. All right, well,
Kim and Allie, like we said, first to arrive, they actually were efficient enough so they didn't have to answer the question.
the wrestlers were kind of dumb.
The guy was like, wait, so we have to use more than a 10? More than 0.1? No!
Shelly and Niecy, they couldn't find the car.
They had a rough go of it. Yeah.
They had a rough go the entire episode, but we'll get there.
All right, so let's talk about this week's detour.
It's either parking space or a wedding cake.
All right, so parking space. Now, this area is really like
Freaky?
innovative and progressive. So
Extremely progressive. Probably one of the most progressive countries
in the world.
in the world.
Right, so they had to take this parking space and turn it into either a garden or a living room. So they had
Right.
all of the furniture, all the little knicknacks, and they had a photo of
Right.
what it was supposed to look like.
A planogram.
Yeah.
So
They had 30 minutes to get it right.
No more.
Yeah, and if
It's
you
all right.
if you go over the time limit or you're wrong, you got to move it to another parking space.
And the judge was beardy Brad Pitt.
If Brad Pitt, Jason Sudeikis,
Had a baby.
and Joel McHale
Maybe a little Zach Galifianakis in
somehow
there
all had a child together, it would be this guy.
too. Yeah. The new slimmed down Zach Galifianakis. Because this guy was a
He
fitty.
looks kind of deflated. I'm worried. But anyway,
All right.
so
Wedding cake was, you had to go to the baker, assemble a traditional wedding cake with like the royal icing and everything, stick some Denmark flags in there, or Danish flags in there,
come on.
and deliver it on this bicycle trolley cart thing.
This was no normal bicycle. The front
No.
part was really long, so
Right.
it was hard to steer it.
Exactly. So, like we said, very difficult. Kim and Allie, bike people.
Cyclists,
Yeah.
bike people.
Their cake broke in half.
But they were smart. They brought some icing with them.
Right.
So
they doctored it up a little bit.
they went most of the way with it in half, and then when they got close, they're like, all right, let's fix this baby up.
That was smart, but dropping the receipt on the floor was pretty dumb.
Yeah, you had to give the maitre d',
Who was very over-tanned.
well, leave her alone.
Oh my god, I guess they don't get a lot of sun there. She had a lot of that orange fake tan on, and it
I
looked
don't know.
really freaky with her blonde hair. But she was beautiful!
Luckily,
Alright.
they found the receipt.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like on a sidewalk or something, so that was cool.
Well, Keith and Whitney were having a tough time.
Yeah.
They decided to give up and switch.
Mm-hmm.
And Brooke and Robbie,
Somehow they made it happen.
I don't know how
made
they
it happen.
did that.
The surfers also having a rough time. I think.
They gave up very soon after they saw the bike.
I think it
because
was pretty clear early on that this was not going to work.
So they switched right away, which is a good move for them because I don't see it coming together.
All right. So over at parking space, the dentists.
Wrong!
Woo!
Wrong! Wrong!
Yeah.
They couldn't figure out that the flower pot had to be turned the opposite
It
way.
had 2 sides, one with 7 petals and one with 8 petals.
So after they were wrong like a few times, because when you're wrong, you have to move the entire thing to a different parking space and start over.
You're basically locked in for at least another 30 minutes.
Well, they went to the wedding cake thing and they were like, wow, this is so easy until they got on the bike. And then they dropped the flag and
She had her hands all over it.
oh, it was a mess. So they pretty much finally made it when they realized that she dropped the flag after she pulled all the other ones out of her mouth.
Well, sorry. The guy. What's the guy's name?
I don't know.
Misty and blank.
Misty and
I'm so sorry, dentist guy, but
and Dr. Dentist.
dentist guy was like, I would shoot myself in the face right now.
All right.
That's a little extreme.
Is it like Dave or something?
I don't know.
All right. Well, the other people on parking space were Amy and Maya and Tim and TJ. Tim and TJ!
Yay!
And Shelly and Nisi.
Okay.
All right. So after you finish the detour, it's time for a roadblock.
Woo! So this is one person from each duo.
You have to drive yourself in that hot car to Ida Davidson restaurant where they have a million different sandwiches.
Some of them look pretty good.
Yeah, except for the ones with the raw things on them.
Ugh. So one person had to take 2 orders each from 2 customers. So a total of 4 orders.
So you don't just take the numbers of the sandwiches, you actually have to recite what is on the sandwiches along with the numbers and
Yeah.
relay it to the chef.
And you can't write anything down.
This seemed pretty hard, and I thought for sure, oh my god, Robbie is doing it, and he's just dumb.
He was hilarious,
He
though.
was the best ever. He's like, this sandwich is delicious, and this is what's on it. He didn't get it right away, but oh my god, it was gold.
It was great.
Gold, and I think that lady pretty much fell in love with him.
I think so.
All right.
TJ, gotta give a shout out to TJ. He freaking blew through it.
He's a server.
He was serving.
Yeah. Excellent job.
All right, Misty.
She had a little bit of a hard time
This was
because
not the dentist's day. Dentist's day.
she was getting really frustrated. Maya was being very loud, and then she forgot to say the numbers before what was on the sandwiches.
I thought Whitney was the one who was like,
You're right, it was Whitney.
Okay.
they kind of
The
resemble each
blondes
other.
with the
Yeah.
long hair. Yeah.
All right. Well, once we got past that, the pit stop was at VM Houses, which was another like green type housing project.
All right, so Phil was waiting there with this woman and these 2 giant dogs.
I love the dogs.
They were awesome.
So Kim and Allie arrived first.
Wow.
Wow. And they each won a super cool prize. A 2014 Ford C-Max. Each!
Wow.
Each! Do you know how cool that is? Because I sure do.
All right. Second place, Brooke and Robbie.
What?
Wow, that was
couldn't
unexpected.
believe that. Then Keith and Whitney in third, followed by Amy and Maya, and then Tim and TJ.
And those dogs were going nuts.
But they were on Phil like he was made out of ham.
Phil was like, ugh.
You're taller than me. Get away.
Yeah.
All right, Shelly and Nisi.
This was insane. So
What
they had
a
some
freaking hot mess.
They had some issues getting to the pit stop. At first, Shelly was driving, and Nisi was being like a backseat driver.
Right.
So then she was
let
like, "All right,
Nisi drive.
you drive."
Yeah.
And then Shelly was sitting in the back seat. I guess she was supposed to be looking for people to ask
If you
directions.
see something, say something. But she didn't. Ooh.
She was kind of like sabotaging them.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's tough love. She wanted to teach her daughter a lesson.
All right, so they finally get to the pit stop, and they're running over the mat.
And
Niecy
wipes
out.
Phil's like, are you okay? And she's like, no! Do I look okay?
So she storms off the mat. It's a hashtag Matt meltdown.
And Phil has to pull out a can of whoop ass
it
on
was like
her.
he was her father.
Now, Niecy, you get your ass over here. You have to be a grown-up. You gotta talk this out like a human
It was crazy.
being.
So they cut to the dog, and the dog's like,
It was genius.
It was
I loved
wild.
It. All right, so after those two pull their S together.
I've never seen something like that on the show.
Never.
Never.
Adam and Bethany came in 7th.
All right, so then Misty and what's-his-face show up, and they're all
Dentist.
defeated.
Did anybody notice he's like
Yes.
intense?
They're assuming, we're going to have to use this save, so he's all like, Phil, I've got something for you. And Phil's like,
Put that away.
no. It's a non-elimination leg.
I called that from the
You did.
beginning. I knew
Yep.
it. All right, so Mr. said,
No, she said it.
oh, we got our teeth kicked in today. Good thing we had a spare.
Yeah, so they still get to hang on to that save.
All
That's a
right.
pretty good deal.
It is a good deal. Next time, they're in Marrakesh.
Woo!
And, hot dog, double U-turn is in effect.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh boy, that's Shelly and Niecy. Shelly of Shelly and Niecy gets into a little scuffle with
Keith of Keith and Whitney.
the survivors.
Yeah.
Will they survive? I don't know.
They didn't mention, are the dentists going to have to complete an extra challenge next week, or?
Oh, gee, I don't know.
We'll see. Let us know in the comments what you guys thought of this episode. Were you surprised at the horrible showing by the dentists?
Were you surprised at the fantastic showing of the wrestlers?
I was.
Let us know what your favorite moment was.
All right.
And until next time,
Much love.
Edit.
Hey!